Hey, welcome. This is Chase, and I'm Mark from Sparrow SOS. I prepared a little video for you to help get you ready for your next camping outing. So let's go over it. So the first thing you want to do as you're going out camping is you want to do some research, right? You want to look at where you're going, check if there's any advisories, any fire bans, maybe there's some information online about the specific area where you're going. It's always smart to check that out. The other thing you want to look at is some maps. Okay, look at a map of the area where you're going. Try to study as much as possible. Where are the rivers? Where are the roads? Where are some of the key features? Try to orient yourself and look at the map in advance. And if possible, if you need some waypoints, it's a good idea to input them at home in the comfort of your own home before you go out as well. After you've done that, the next thing you want to do is you want to create a checklist because you want to make sure you don't forget any of the essential gear you want to bring out with you. Okay? So a good idea and a good little tip is to carry a master list. So make a master list for each activity. So if you're going backyard camping or front country camping at a campground, you can have one list. If you're going backcountry camping, like backpacking, you can have another master list. And if you're going canoeing, you can have a different list for that. You can just insert it inside your plastic sleeve and you can just check it off with a magic marker as when you're home packing your gear. Okay, now one thing that's important is you don't check anything off until you physically put it inside a bag or inside your vehicle, just to make sure you don't forget it at home. So that's an important consideration because there's a lot of gear here, and I've just chosen a selection of different types of gear for different activities, and depending on where you're going and the activity you're doing, it's going to dictate what you bring. Larger items, if you're going car camping or canoeing, when backpacking, you have to carry it in farther. You're going to bring smaller, more compact, lightweight items. Okay, so that's a good consideration. So that's that. Let's go down the list here, see what we got next. So an important thing you want to do is before you go is you want to check your gear. Okay, you want to make sure everything's good and everything's working in good order. A great way to do that is to camp in your backyard. Okay, now I'm a big advocate of camping in your backyard before you go out in the wilderness, because there's no better place to test out your gear. And if you have kids, it's a great place to get them used to the whole camping setup, sleeping in a tent. And if things go wrong in the middle of the night, whether because of gear, bad weather, or your kids just something's not right, you can just go right in the house. Okay, so I think that's a great idea to start off there and move your way up, down the ladder, up the ladder as you go. So important things to look at is zippers. So if you got a tent, bring it up, check all your zippers, check your guy lines, check your poles, make sure they're good to go. Another very important thing is your zippers on your sleeping bag, okay? You want to make sure they're in good order. There's no holes in your sleeping bag. Same thing for your air mattress. Make sure there's no holes in there. It inflates properly. It holds its air overnight, okay? So make sure you check your gear before you go out. So next down the list, we're going to be talking about clothing and equipment. So when it comes to choosing your clothing and equipment, it's very important to buy brightly colored gear. So brightly colored tent, brightly colored backpacks, sleeping bags, as brightly colored as you can, because if something goes wrong out there, you want to give rescue forces just a little leg up to try and find you a little bit better, okay? So for clothing, you want to make sure you dress in layers. So there's 4 basic layers you got to consider. So you got your base layer, that's right next to your skin. That's usually in the colder months, but if you're in Europe and you're going camping in the Alps, even in the summer times, if you're in the mountains, the temperature does drop quite a bit at night, so it might be a good idea to include your base layer, okay? And key features of your clothing system is you want to make sure you dress in synthetic materials, good synthetic materials, and wool. You want to make sure you don't dress in cotton, okay? So you got your base layer here. If you need it, toque and gloves, it's always a good idea, because it does get chilly at night, depending on where you are. Your next layer is your mid layer. Okay, so you want to have good pants, good hiking pants. These here are really good because they're stretchy and they're thin, so they dry really quick. Okay, and they'll breathe well as well. And next, you can have a good t-shirt and a sweater to go with your mid layer. Next is your outer layer. So you want to have a good little jacket that's going to be wind and rain resistant. It's always a good idea to have a hood. If it gets chilly at night or the wind picks up, it's always nice to have a hood on you. The layer after that is probably one of the most important, and that's your shell layer, okay? So it's always good to invest in a good shell layer, such as something that's made out of Gore-Tex that's going to breathe while keeping the bad weather and the wind out. This is like your, it's your last line of defense if you find yourself in emergency, is your shells, okay? So it's very important, always pack a shell jacket, and shell pants with you wherever you go. What that's going to do is, if everything goes wrong, as long as you got some warm layers and that shell layer on the outside, that's going to help keep you warm, and that's going to make a world of difference. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, so let's go down the list here. A good idea as well, a good little tip that I want to offer you as well is your sleeping bag. It's always good to use a waterproof bag to tuck it into wherever you're going, because that's also your last line of defense. That's your last little cocoon that you're going to crawl into to keep you warm. So you want to make sure that it never gets wet, okay? A good thing to carry as well with you at all times is a tarp. A tarp does a lot of things for you. You should always have one on you. A brightly colored tarp works well. It's easily seen from afar. When you're coming back to your site, or if you are in an emergency situation, you can help rescue forces out by helping them find you by having a bright tarp. Another tip as well is to make sure you put some cordage on all four corners in advance. Tie it neatly, so if you need to deploy that tarp, you can put it up in like 5 minutes, okay? If the weather picks up, the rain's coming in, you need a place to get outside of the weather, you can quickly deploy a tarp. So it's always good to have one with you. Again, the size is going to be dictated by the activity you're doing. Car camping, you can afford to carry a bigger tarp. If you're backpacking, carry a tarp anyways. You're just going to carry a smaller, lighter tarp. Okay, so as I said, I've created a list for different activities that you can follow, and I'll link it to this video, and you can look at it in details. If you have any questions about that list, certainly reach out to me. I'm happy to amplify any details, and I'm happy to provide links for all these different gear out here, where you can get it, and some of the prices as well, and some of the considerations. So I do go into details of all the gear here on my list. Okay, so finally, I want to talk to you about a few things about your research getting ready to go out. Is one of the things that's very important, the last thing you're going to do before you go is make sure you let somebody know where you're going. Make sure you let somebody reliable know where you're going, so they're going to follow up if you don't come back on time. Okay, they're going to alert emergency services to go out looking for you. So there's a few different ways you can do that. You can call up a friend, give them as much details as you want, where you're going, how many people in your group, when you're going to be back, what kind of gear you're carrying, what kind of colored gear you have. You have a dog, what kind of dog is it? Your vehicle, your license plate, any medical condition as well that you have. Just give them as much details as you can so they can transmit that over to emergency services as required. An easy way to do that is the Adventure Smart app. Okay, now that was designed here in Canada. I've tried it out. It works great. So you can download the app, and your emergency contact can download the app as well. Every time you go out on a trip, you just open up the app, you follow the bouncing ball, you describe where you're going, you fill out the checklist, what kind of items you have, and as soon as you create that trip plan, it's going to send it out via email and text to your emergency contact. Now let them know you're going out. Now it's a good idea to let them know in advance that you're going out. And if you don't return from your trip at the set time, it's also going to alert them via text or email that you're overdue, okay? So they can follow up, try to track you down, and if they can't get a hold of you, then they can alert emergency services again, okay? That's a good idea. As far as self-rescue, I mean, I'm a big advocate of self-rescue whenever you can. You got to be smart, let other people know, but at the end of the day, you got to rely on yourself, okay? So Garmin InReach GPS, this is a mini. It's really small, has an SOS button. In case you need help, it goes right to satellite. You can also download an app, and you can text via satellite. So you can talk to your emergency contact. You can let them know if you're going to be late, or if you're really in trouble, you can let them know as well. And you can also talk to emergency services to try and narrow down where you are via this device. So always have some kind of backup device that works off satellite, so it'll work, doesn't matter where you are. Okay, that's always a good idea. So that's pretty much it. There's a lot to cover here, so I just want to make a quick, small video, give you a few little tips, hopefully useful, that you can carry with you on your next adventure, whether it's in your backyard, at a campground, or out in the backcountry. Okay, so have fun out there, enjoy the summer. Hopefully you get a chance to go and do some memorable activities with your families. This is Mark. Thanks for watching.